I thought branding was all about pretty colors and beautiful text, but I was wrong. And I really didn't understand what personal brand and company branding was either. So I thought we would talk today to the king of branding. That's right. You may not know it, but Jay is the king of branding. He knows amazing things about this topic. So let's talk to him and find out what the heck is branding. So Jay, we hear this word all the time. I'm on brand, that's off brand. I got to fix my brand. I'm working on my personal brand, blah, 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 blah. Can you please tell us exactly what is branding?
Yeah, it's a good question. What do you think branding is?
Well, I thought at one time it was, like I said, pretty colors.
Yeah. Is it colors and text?
No.
Okay. Can a person have a brand?
Yeah, they can.
So can a person who doesn't use colors and text have a brand?
Yes, they can. Yes, the answer is yes.
Sure. Can Shaquille O'Neal have a brand?
Yes.
Can Beyonce have a brand?
Yes.
Can Taylor Swift have a brand?
Yes.
Even without colors and text?
Yes.
Okay. So then a brand is something more abstract than colors and text.
Yes. Yeah.
But a lot of times a brand is represented by colors and text.
Yes.
Like a McDonald's logo or a Nike logo or a Coke color scheme.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So the brand is something behind the colors and text.
Yes.
And a brand can be felt or recognized even without colors and text.
Yes.
So how do you recognize a brand when you come across it if it's not colors and text? Can you recognize Taylor Swift's brand when you come across it?
I mean, yeah, like, yes, I can. So you asked the question, the colors and text, and like she doesn't have set colors and text, but I can recognize her voice and like the things she does and how catchy things are and how Swifty everything is. And so, yeah, like,
look, if I gave you a song performed by someone else, but written by Taylor Swift, do you think you would recognize it?
Yeah, I think I could.
So then you could recognize Taylor's brand, even if it's completely without colors and text, completely performed by someone else, not even having her voice.
It's possible, yes.
You think you could recognize her writing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So would you call that a strong brand?
Yeah, that's pretty strong branding, yes.
So you could recognize Taylor's brand just by her songwriting?
Yeah, I think I could. And I'm a Swiftie enough to be able to recognize it, yes.
Sure. Could you recognize a J.K. Rowling book just by a chapter or a passage?
Yes.
So J.K. Rowling wrote the Cormoran Strike novels. I don't know if you've read the Cormoran Strike novels.
No.
But she did it under a pen name, so no one would know it was her. And she was writing about a gritty male detective type character solving murders and stuff like that.
All right.
And obviously they haven't sold nearly as well as Harry Potter, but they got turned into TV shows and stuff. And if I put them side by side, would a Harry Potter fan recognize them? Would they see the similarities?
Possibly, yes.
Well, probably not from the book covers.
No, but if you read side by side, like a page or two, you might be able to see similarities. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe. One's for kids, one's for adults. So maybe. But the point is, J.K. Rowling went out of her way to disown her brand when she wrote those novels. She was trying to disassociate herself from her past reputation and brand and like signifiers and signature writing style and so on.
Right.
Whereas if Taylor Swift ghost wrote a song, she might not be trying to avoid that. She might just write in her normal style and you might recognize it.
Yeah. Actually, the things that she has written, I think, are pretty much the same style she writes her own songs in.
Unless she pulled a J.K. Rowling and deliberately used a pen name and tried to write in a different style and disown her brand.
Yeah, it's possible.
Right. So if a brand is so recognizable when it's strong, and if a brand is something that an author or a celebrity or a creator can intentionally disown or intentionally move away from, what does this mean? What is a brand?
I mean, your brand is who you are and like what you're selling and what you're about, like what you believe in.
Okay, so we're getting close to it. It's what you're about, who you are, what you believe in. These are much deeper definitions of a brand than colors and text.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So just even to use you as an example, I can recognize your work pretty much anywhere, right? Because we've worked together a long time. I know your style of art. I know what you gravitate towards. However, I've seen you do work for other people where I had to double take because it was off of it wasn't the same style. Like,
Yeah, I was trying to use their brand, not my
right.
brand.
Yes. And so you're really good at that. And everything you create and you do, it's with the intention of rising because this is what you believe in. And that's why I called you the king, because just like JK and Taylor, you have a particular brand that's deeper because it's all about who you are. You're all about rising. You're all about learning and improving yourself. And this is what your brand, it's clear when I look at your pages, any of them. I could look at old stuff from any of the old businesses, the dead businesses we have, and it's still clear what the branding is. So it makes sense. It's deeper than just colors and fonts or cute memes or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. So people don't usually like to admit this, but does even your girlfriend or bestie or next door neighbor have a brand?
Yes. Yes.
But if I ask them, would they say they have a brand?
No, they wouldn't recognize their brand.
So they're unaware and unconscious of their own brand, but other people can recognize their brand.
Yeah. And we're talking about people who are unaware of themselves, unaware of
Who they are and what
who they are, who they are and what they stand for. But I guess from what I'm understanding what you're saying, what you're nudging me towards is that this comes out anyway. Like who we are and what we stand for and what we're about comes through as our brand, whether we want it to or not, like whether we're trying. Like if we pick colors and text, we're purposefully going and choosing the thing that like to show what we are. But if who we are is deeper than that and it comes through, we don't have to like pick things because it's just who we are. No?
Sure.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is a person or a company's brand something they self-create, or is it something others perceive? Like if someone's unaware of their brand, your bestie or your neighbor, they're clueless about their brand, but everyone else can recognize their brand. Who decides what the brand is? Who created the brand? Like, is the brand created by the perception of other humans, or is the brand created by us, or both?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that it's both, because the people who are unaware of what their brand is, at any time they can wake up and change it. They can say like, okay, somebody who's always late, right? Somebody's constantly late can wake up one day and go, wow, I'm always late. I don't want that to be my brand. I don't want people to know me for being late. So I'm going to be on time all the time. I'm going to be early from now on. And then they do the things. So they can choose their branding and make the changes to be that. Yeah.
But what if people still perceive them as late, even though they've changed? So is their brand still the late guy?
They're in the beginning until they can have brand loyalty and brand consistency and brand, it's
Unity, harmony.
Yeah, it's become like part of who you are, right? And so now people know me here as being early, but before, for years, I had the reputation of always being late. But it took many years for them to peep my rebrand and get it, you know?
So you believe that a person or company's brand is a co-creation between their actions and choices and intentions, as well as the perceptions of their audience or society or something.
You said it way fancier than I did, but yes.
Right. So to me, it sounds like a brand is a reputation.
And it's a Taylor Swift album. Yes. It is. That's a really, okay. That's the definition then, right? It took us a minute to get there, but hey. Okay, so our brand is our reputation. This feels like a puzzle piece, right? Okay, good.
Yeah, so there you go. And all of us can change our reputations if we try, but also we're all going to get a reputation slapped on us by society's perceptions too.
Yes.
And sometimes if the media or government or powers that be or some competitor really has it out for you, they might intentionally try to damage your reputation or ruin your brand, even though you're behaving correctly.
True.
Right. So there's some nuances to having a brand or branding and managing your reputation. They're the same thing.
Okay.
So we got our definition.
Yay. Great definition. Okay, so branding is your reputation. So now we understand that branding is reputation. So can you explain to me what the difference is between a company's brand like Coca-Cola or even ours versus a personal brand like Taylor Swift or Beyonce or my mom?
Yeah, to me, there's no difference. Someone just worked on them more or longer or was more intentional about it, or one of them is a reputation with your clients and the market, and the other is a reputation with your family and social circles. Like, it's like minor differences or something, but reputation's a reputation, right?
Well, that's my question. Like, you started Rise because it's your own personal beliefs and feelings and your reputation, which is fast change, always improving yourself, right? And this is what you're about. And so this is mostly what we do here on the podcast. So your personal brand of how you feel about your own life has bled into your business.
Sure. Steve Jobs believed in innovation.
Right?
It was his personal belief and value that he stood for, innovation. And so he brought that to his company, Apple, and Apple is a very innovative company.
Yes.
Sure. But most of Apple's devices are white, and Steve Jobs wears jeans and a black turtleneck.
Right.
The man avoids white.
Yes.
So in some ways, his personal brand is similar to his company's brand, and in other ways, they're quite different.
So I guess what I'm hearing is the personal brand ties in with the business brand, and at some point they break off and continue as separately, because Apple doesn't have a reputation for being a hard ass and being terrible boss,
right?
But Steve Jobs does. So at
right.
some point, they had to break off.
Well, Steve Jobs and Apple are similar in that they're both innovative, but they're different in that one avoids wearing white at all times, and the other one is making sure every device is white.
Right. Okay.
Like, Rise's colors are pink and white. Well, I'm not always wearing pink and white. It might not be my personal brand, but Rise is about elevating consciousness, and I'm about elevating consciousness. So then they're similar.
Right. And
but a person's reputation is different from a company's or a corporation's reputation. They're clearly different things.
Yeah, they are clearly different things.
And they can be very similar or quite different.
Okay. So I guess what I was trying to say is, like, when you are a solopreneur and you're starting your business, your brand is wrapped around your business, basically, right? Your own.
It could be or it could not be. You could sit in a dark room and create a VTuber avatar, and you could have very separate brands with very separate reputations. The VTuber could stand for anger and rage bait and clickbait, and you could stand for shy introversion and gentleness. Like,
okay,
your personal brand could be drastically different from your company brand.
So that's what I was getting at. I guess this is where I was trying to figure it out, and I wasn't asking correctly. So I apologize for the lack of clarity on my part to you and the audience for not asking where I was going. So this is more where I was headed. So you can have a separate personal brand, like a completely different one, like Steve Jobs and Apple, and still be successful. It doesn't have to be your own personal beliefs involved with your company. Like,
yeah, it's just like if you have a reputation and your pet has a reputation. Some pets are very similar to their owners, some are not.
Right. All right. Well, that makes sense. That was very helpful. Thank you for understanding what I was trying to say. You see, people, this is what I mean. Like, I'm getting frustrated on my side because you're not answering my question, and I'm not, but it's because I'm not verbalizing it properly, but you still were able to get it out of me, or figure it out what I was trying to say. So thank you so much. And if you would like to have that in your life, you should get coaching with Jay, because he's really good at that. You could literally just spit out a few words and cry or get mad or whatever because you don't understand what's going on and you need help, and he will figure it out. He just did it here for you on the podcast. So there you go. Thank you so much for understanding the nonsense that was trying to come out.
You're the best.
So for those paying attention or unsure, you can have a separate personal brand than from your company brand. This was my confusion, because our brand is so, your personal branding is tied in with our business brand. It makes more sense now. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's another question with that. If I have a brand,
mm-hmm.
and it's a little different than myself, or I want it to be different for myself, should I on purpose distance myself from that to make clear separate brands? Like, okay, so if someone has a business that's separate from their brand, their business brand is different from their personal brand, should they make an effort to have a separate personal brand, or just focus on the business branding so they can have clarity?
So to me, this is kind of like asking, If a pet owner is getting a pet, should they make sure the pet is similar to them, or is it okay for the pet to be different?
Okay.
It's like, these are not important things, right? There's different for everybody, whatever suits you. I mean, maybe you want a brand that's a lot like you and stands for values that you stand for, or maybe you want a random unknown brand that's completely disassociated with you or something. This is not what's powerful or relevant or helpful or important about branding. I mean, it's okay. It's a great question, but there's so much more to discover than to figure out exactly how close your company's brand should be to your own personal values or something.
Well, a lot of people that start out in business, this is what they focus on. They focus on these silly little things.
I know.
And so what they really should be focused on is on not being clear on their brand, right?
Yes.
And so I want to get these silly little questions out of the way so that people aren't asking them still. So how can we get clear then, Jay, on our branding? Because this is what you're really good at.
Yeah, and this is a much better question, because brand clarity is a game changer. It's huge power. When someone says, where do you want to go to eat? Do you pick some random name of some company or restaurant that has no brand that you've never heard of and don't know about? Or do you just shout out McDonald's or Taco Bell or Nobu or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's usually someplace I've been to and that that I know.
Yeah, and if you're starting with a new restaurant, what are you doing for research? Are you researching restaurants with an unclear brand that their menus all over the place? You don't know what they stand for. You don't know what their sign is. You can't tell their brand colors. They seem like fly-by-night place that might disappear tomorrow. Or are you looking for an established, clear brand, even in the new places that you look for?
Yeah, I'm looking for an established, clear brand, even in the new places.
Yes. And even if you're clueless about technology, when you go to buy tech, what are you looking for?
Established brands.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might take a gamble on some no-name brand, but it's rare, and you don't usually brag about that no-name brand and tell everybody about it. So the no-name brand, even if it does close a sale, probably won't get referrals.
Yeah, that's true. It probably won't get sales. Yeah.
Yeah. Branding is power. A clear brand is power. A clear brand automatically sells for you. A clear brand gets referrals for you. A clear brand does so much. A clear brand helps you stand out in the market and differentiate yourself from the competition. When you go to a party, do you want to meet the hostess who knows everybody, or some random stranger who's holed up in the corner and looks kind of off-putting? Or do you want to talk to the popular girl who's getting all the attention and has a fashion statement and a statement piece? And like, we're drawn to people with reputations, no?
Yes, we are.
And even if it's a bad reputation, then we know clearly to stay away from them, and we're not wasting time like, oh, I met them and talked for 2 hours and it turned out they were a bad dude.
Right. Yeah.
So even a bad reputation is kind of helpful as a service to other humans.
Yeah. It lets you know who maybe you stay on guard when you talk to them or stay away from.
Sure. If I go into a club and there's a mafia boss there, maybe I know to stay away, but there are other people who definitely want to make that acquaintance.
Yeah.
Right. Their bad reputation is actually a service to everyone in the club. Everyone in the club knows who to stay away from or who to get acquainted with.
Right.
Right. But the randos, the average people with unclear brands who haven't put any effort into their reputation or brand at all, just waste everyone's time because everyone's confused about them.
True.
What's the opposite of clarity?
Muddled.
Yeah. Muddled or
confused.
Right. So if you look at your brand and you can say to yourself, man, I don't have such great brand clarity, what are you actually putting out?
Confusion.
Right. Brand
confusion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So if you're putting out brand confusion, is this a service to your clients?
No.
Is this a service to the market?
No.
Is this a valuable contribution to the world?
No.
Are you sure you want your company to have brand confusion leading the way?
Absolutely not.
Right.
That's why we're doing this video, because I want to help some people that I've seen that have a little bit of brand confusion, and I think this will be helpful for them.
Yeah, even mine isn't as clear as I want it to be, but It's a process. It's all good. Amazon didn't have a clear brand overnight. It's fine.
Same. I was recently asked by someone what my message or my mission is because my page was all about you. And I thought, well, I guess it's not clear that he's my actual mission. I guess it's not clear that my mission is to get you people who don't know him to meet him and to get the amazing life-changing results that I did. And
That's a great mission.
Yeah, like, but But my brand, my own brand, separate from what we're doing, is not clear that you are my mission.
Yeah. Does your family know that's your mission? Do your friends know that's your mission? Is your social profile clear about that mission?
That could be clear.
Yeah. Are the day-to-day activities that you do aligned with that mission? Are they half aligned with that mission? Are they not aligned with that mission? All this kind of stuff, right? So brand clarity is available to everyone, but it takes intention and applied effort to bring it to life. You don't just magically get an awesome reputation with zero input whatsoever.
Okay, so then how can we beef up our reputation so that it's more clear to to people, to the market?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I run through a series of exercises, brand clarity exercises, whenever I'm consulting people. My two biggest clients, my millionaire clients, both went through something similar and both loved it, and it clarified their brand in massive ways. And the first of that exercise I suggest is to choose somebody to serve. I call it your one person. Mm-hmm. Some people call it your customer avatar or ideal client profile or whatever this stuff is. I call it one person, like a real human person,
right?
Or as close as you can get, because the foundation of business and the economy is serving value to others. And when you serve value to others, you are compensated. This is how it has always gone since caveman bartering times. So what is the foundation of business? What is clearly the first step of business if business is about serving value to others?
Who's the others that we want to serve?
Yeah, because you could make all the value in the world, but if there's no one around who wants it or is hungry for it or eager to compensate you for it, it was a giant waste of your time.
Yeah, not only that, but when you go to give it to the person, if you don't know who you're giving it to, then you're like stuck with your like looking around like, what's up?
Yeah, and you might even have the best cure for them. You might have a cure for cancer and you might be serving cancer sufferers, but if they don't trust you or have rapport with you or believe what you're selling, or if they think you're a grifter or something, then you're screwed. What's the point of your cancer cure? Why did you bother making this thing? 100% first step is to find someone to serve. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and the first step is to select one that you can actually serve. When Nike first started, they served a college athlete named Otis. I can't remember his full name, but he was a college track athlete, and Phil Knight's partner, Bill Bowerman, knew this guy. He knew Otis, and he wanted to help Otis, and he cared about Otis. And so they wanted to serve Otis. And so they made a shoe that's a perfect fit for Otis's foot. They cut his shoe apart and put their special technology in or whatever. They didn't do it for everyone or athletes everywhere or all track runners, or they picked Otis and they served Otis well. And then when they got a testimony, when Otis was like, this is amazing, they knew they were onto something. And they were like, okay, we can serve people. Let's find more Otises.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. You have to have somebody that you're making your shoe or your thing for.
Yeah, when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak made their first computer prototype, I haven't researched it, but I bet you it was to help serve someone, one person, somebody. They didn't just like randomly, just tinker in our garage and make something cool, hope somebody likes it one day. They were inspired. They were moved. They were like, this is going to help so-and-so.
Agreed.
Right. Even the branding exercises I'm about to talk to you about, I didn't just make them up for no reason or for fun or for whatever. I saw someone had a confused brand. They were suffering and I knew I could help them. And so I got to know them and I made friends with them. And when the time and opportunity came up, I raised my brand idea and showed them what it could do. And they were receptive. And when I saw that it worked, I was like, oh, let me find more people like this dude.
Fair enough.
Right. So one of the best ways to get clear on your brand is to know who you're serving.
Okay.
Specifically who you're serving, and then serve others like them. So if the person you're helping is a single mom, maybe your audience becomes mompreneurs, right?
Right.
And if you're helping Otis, the track athlete, maybe your audience becomes track athletes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I was just going to add, like, knowing as much about them as possible, because it was a great example of Otis. We are our brand. We have a particular person in mind with a name and a whole background and a life and a lifestyle. And we know them in and out. We've had 2 and we know them in and out.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to talk so much about can your brand be separate from your values or your pets or whatever, because our one person doesn't really care too much about that stuff.
That's very true. Thank you.
Yeah, but anyone can slip up. That's the whole point.
Sure. Okay.
Including me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if the king slips up, then anyone can. So you told us one exercise. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a couple more? I don't know how deep you want to go into it, but if you could give us a couple more to help with branding.
Sure. So then the next exercise is committing to a niche, because every person you decide to serve, like every one person that you come up with, has something in the forefront of their mind. There's health, wealth, and relationships, but depending on who you're talking to, one of those is a higher priority than others. No one has all three as a priority at the same time.
No, I think we'd lose our minds if we did.
Yeah, nobody does.
Right.
So the person you're serving either cares most about wealth, or they care most about health, or they care most about relationships at any given phase of their life.
Okay.
So for your brand, once you know your one person, you better know what their priority is and what they care about the most. And you want to provide an offering in a sub niche of that. So for Nike and Bill Bowerman and Otis, like their one person's priority was probably health,
Right.
physical fitness,
Physical fitness, right?
physical performance. And so in the health niche, it would be a sub niche of health technology or running shoe technology.
Right.
So Nike can choose a good niche because they know Otis. Because they know they're one person, they can figure out what his priority is, and they can select an appropriate niche and commit to it. And they committed to running technology.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they eventually expanded, but to get your brand clear, you want to commit to a niche. My one person, their priority, it's basically wealth.
Yes.
That's their focus.
Yes.
My one person's focus is wealth. Their priority is wealth. It might look like they care about the other stuff as much or more, but if you had gun to their head, they had to choose, they would choose wealth.
Yes.
And when they wake up in the morning, that's what they're looking at. Expanding their business, growing their business, which is
Right.
fine. But because I know what they care about, I can choose a sub niche of wealth via mental health, or wealth via spirituality, or wealth via harsh truths, or whatever niche I feel is going to resonate with them. I can choose a sub niche of wealth, and I don't get caught up talking to them all over about health and making a product about relationships. I can expand to those eventually, but because I know my one person, I can choose a sub niche that's in their wheelhouse. That's their top priority.
Yeah. And so this video is right up their alley, because this is brand clarity and brand direction. So this is what matters to them, like to grow their wealth. So yeah.
I did these exercises with a client recently, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is incredible. I feel so empowered."
Yay.
Yeah. And these are people who aren't easily impressed, right? These are multi-millionaire clients.
Right. Yes.
And so then the next exercise is like a positioning exercise, like where you're positioned in the market. And so basically you create a graph with two axes. On one of them, you put one of your best strengths, and on the other axis, you put another of your best strengths. And these should be natural talents that you're so good at that you beat almost everybody. And maybe someone beats you at one of them, but nobody beats you on both. Like, it would be weird. It would be super weird if they beat you on two superpowers.
Right.
Right. And so when you have a graph of superpower 1 and superpower 2, you can like put your competition here, like, oh, my competitor A is here, or my competitor B is here, and this one's good at this, but he's bad at this. But then you're always at the top corner. You're always at like the highest of both, or whatever. Maybe like a little below, but this way you're positioning yourself against the competition. So if Starbucks was to do this exercise, when they came out with their coffee, they weren't the cheapest, they weren't the most popular, they weren't the most easily accessible.
Right.
They lose on all these. That's not their superpowers. But what's their superpower? So they could put quality. Their coffee, Italian style coffee, is just higher quality than everybody's when they came out.
Yes.
And they could put that as one of their superpowers. And on the other side, they put novelty. Who is more novel? Who is newer and more like interesting than Starbucks? Or they could put luxury. Or they could put
Experience.
Yeah, the Starbucks experience is more of an experience. And they win. They win on those. So as soon as they put their two superpowers, bam, they come up at the top of the chart. And now you know where you're the market leader. Now you know what your brand is strong at. Now you know what you should be mentioning and marketing with and using and telling people about and bragging about every day, every time. Because all the other stuff is meaningless. Who cares how pricey it is or how cheap it is? Who cares about what other people are good at? Like, be clear about your brand's strengths and you win. So this is a game-changing exercise.
This is, that's super helpful. And I already know that it blew people's minds, because super helpful to get clear on all this stuff. So
yeah, I think I got it from Positioning by Al Rees, or like,
I don't think I read that.
It's my version of his exercise. Whatever. I pick up these ideas everywhere. But the point is, it's a game changer for brand clarity and brand direction. And if you do it, it will help you massively, and it will affect all your business decisions and marketing materials and content creation and everything. And then once you have that down, you want to come up with your value proposition. So Domino's 30 minutes, or it's free. FedEx when it has to absolutely be there overnight, or whatever.
Yeah.
Apple's Think Different, or innovation in tech, or whatever their value proposition is. You start to make this catchy, clear offer to your audience of one person's, right?
Right.
And so now they know what they're coming to you for. You have your catchy slogan, the value proposition is clear, your positioning the market's clear, your niche is clear, you know who you're serving, they know who you're serving, and it's just so clear. And it's like, bam, that Domino's slogan or that FedEx slogan, that is the value proposition. And then that's something I can get behind. And now all your fans rally behind that. You know exactly what you're offering and to who. You're not randomly taking crazy experiments and just throwing them out there, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. You're clear and focused, and everyone knows it and can feel it. Taylor Swift knows what her value proposition is to her audience. She doesn't just try rap one day and try opera the next day. She doesn't try writing about wealth and prosperity, even though she's wealthy and prosperous. She knows what the value proposition is for her audience, and she makes sure she maintains it.
She does, yes.
Yeah. And they know what they're going to get. When they get an album, they're like, where are those breakup songs? Where are those relationship songs? Where's those love songs?
Yeah. Where's Taylor life songs? Yeah.
Yeah. They want her journal. They want all that stuff.
Yes.
So the audience knows what they want. Taylor knows what they want. Everyone knows the score here. It's just epic clarity.
True.
Eminem had a really clear brand, and then he tried to release an album of ballads. And I'm not saying you can't pull it off. But I'm saying you have to realize this is an insane departure from your brand, and your audience used to know what they wanted and you used to know what you were providing, and now you're going a totally different direction, and there's going to be some kind of mix up or mismatch here, and maybe you're not serving your one person anymore. Your angsty, angry teenage audience is not going to love these weird rap ballads or whatever you're doing.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying you can't pull it off, and I'm not hating on Marshall. He's a genius. I'm just saying this is how branding works and how brand clarity works. And when you step away from the value proposition and experiment with something else, there are repercussions.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, because a lot of people, so in the beginning, when they're new, they freak out because they have to pick now and it's forevermore and that's it. And then over time, sometimes then they realize, oh, I can pivot. And that's somebody, it's me, I'm somebody. So
sure. Instagram started out as a geotagging, geolocating app.
Yeah, it did.
Like Foursquare.
Yeah.
They were trying to compete with Foursquare until they realized their superpowers were photo sharing. Like superpowers were photo sharing and networking. As soon as you change the graph from geotagging and geolocating to photo sharing and networking or social connection, bam, they come to the top of the chart and they start dominating the competition. But if they're trying to compete with geotagging and geolocating, Foursquare is beating them at that.
Yeah, and no one even used it very much anyway. No one cared about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they pivoted, but it's fine. Like, you have to know your one person and know your position in the market. And this is what I'm saying. I could have saved them so much time and money if they did my brand clarity exercises.
It's true. And anybody who's watching this and who wants to be clear on their brand, whether it's a personal brand or their business, this would be really helpful for you to understand your brand and to be clear on this and who you're serving. So this is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And there's a ton more, right? There's an exercise for your name. There's an exercise for your logo. There's an exercise for your themes or your messaging, your brand messaging.
Whoa. They have to pay to get that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's all good. I have free videos about naming and logo design. But yeah, your hooks, basically, your brand hooks need to be clear. Andrew Tate has like 3 or 5 brand hooks that he always goes to.
Right.
And because he always turns to them, like, he hooks his audience and there are talking points and the media wants to talk to him because they know that he's going to bring up these hooks and they know they can discuss these hooks with him. And the hooks are controversial and the messaging is strong and repeated and reliable. It's like a signature message that you can rely on this man for. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying he's good at branding and he knows to make sure his messaging is on point and clear. And
that's true.
And when you have that, it's very easy to create content. It's very easy to know what to talk about. It's very easy to know what to bring up. It's very consistent and clear and reliable. And everyone else who's talking kind of knows what they're going to get. They might not know the exact dish that he serves up, but they know that it's going to be spicy.
Fair enough. That's
right.
True.
So if you want spicy food, you go to a spicy restaurant, that's great. You don't know exactly what dish is going to be served up, but at least you know what you're getting. Like, yeah, we're going to get some spicy stuff.
Okay. So then if we are clear in our branding and we are consistent in what we're doing and putting things out there, whatever, this is how we have brand direction. Is this what leads our brand into the direction? I don't know, because that's your part of the business, right? So could you maybe explain a little bit that CEO stuff that I don't do?
Sure. So brand clarity is all those aspects of your reputation that we've been talking about.
Right.
Reputation of your company or your brand or yourself or whatever.
Okay.
And as those aspects are made clear, your brand's values and what you stand for also become clear. Like,
right.
Because Andrew Tate's messaging and niche and his positioning and so on are so clear, his deeper inner values also become clear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They do. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what he stands for, and I know what Nike stands for, and I know what Apple stands for. Even if they don't come out and say it, just from all their other brand materials, this hidden value that the brand stands for shines.
Yes.
Right. And anytime you see a brand go a different direction from those values, what happens? Like if Eminem stands for angry rap and he goes into ballads.
Oh, well, then you upset your one person.
Yeah.
Like they're not as attached.
Yeah. Well, your audience is relying on you for those values.
Right.
If you have a friend and they're always on time and then the next 3 times in a row they're late, how do you feel?
I feel like they let me down. And I counted on their reputation and I believed something that may not be true. Maybe not the first time. The first time I'd be like, oh, no big deal. They're always on time. Right? The second time I may question, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is everything okay? This is not like you. And the third time, I'd probably be hesitant to make another date or plan.
Right. So they have a track record, and that track record built up a reputation, and they convinced you that they stood for certain values.
Yes.
And then you counted on those values. And if they go a different direction from those values, stray from them, there are pretty negative results.
Yeah. Yeah, even after a third time, it makes me not really want to be around that person who I thought was one way, but is showing me another.
Sure. And let's say you had a YouTube channel and you had certain colors on every thumbnail.
Okay.
Black and gold or something. And everyone got used to black and gold and they expected black and gold and they loved black and gold and they started waking up looking for black and gold and they clicked always on the black and gold and they automatically click on the black and gold and they are so thrilled about the black and gold. And these colors aren't exactly a value, but what if you chose those colors because it stood for boldness and hunger? Because you serve entrepreneurs and you serve boldness and hunger. And so those colors represented some values.
Right.
Now let's say for short-term clicks or as an experiment or because you want to use AI or whatever reason, let's say you start ditching that black and gold, bold, hungry colors, and you just go like random, just like Fisher Price colors, like all over the place.
Ooh, ouch.
I'm not saying you can't change color schemes. Lots of brands and companies have done it. But if your colors represent values and you start straying from those colors, aren't you also straying from those values?
Well, that's why I said ouch, because when you said these colors represent values. So I talked in the beginning about it being colors and fonts in my silly little brain in the beginning, right? But if you have consistency, so if you're using those colors, because they represent your values and you've switched away from that now and you're kind of willy-nilly with things, to me, your values are doing the same thing. Like they're all over the place, right?
Yeah. I mean, it might work. It might not. I'm just saying it's hopefully a well thought out, well considered brand decision because you're changing brand direction.
Yeah.
And so you better have a damn good reason for it and know it's going to pay off. Like it's a big gamble. So be careful. When Eminem went to rap ballads, I'm like, that's a great experiment, fine. But you better know this is a huge departure from your brand's values that you've built up over time with a track record and a reputation. And it might be suited for a different kind of audience, like a different one person. And now you're not serving your one person and they're going to feel that. And so if you're going to do it, there better be some damn good reasons and be prepared for any fallout.
I had a question. Please continue. I'll ask after.
This is what I mean by brand direction. Are you taking your brand in a new direction? Are you taking it in the same direction? Are people following along your journey? Are you taking them somewhere awesome that they want to go? Or are they going to hop off and find another brand to be loyal to cling to? If Apple is always delivering innovative tech, that's awesome. Then people will cling to them and come along for the innovative tech ride. But if they suddenly deliver boring, non-innovative tech or innovative pastries, I don't know if that's going to be great for their brand. It's a much bigger gamble. It's a much different thing to do with your reputation. J.K. Rowling writes kids' books, and if she could have written under her normal name, the Cormoran Strike books, but she chose to separate her brand totally for a new audience and a new style with a new pen name, right?
Right.
Is that good? Is that bad? Well, she definitely didn't hurt her original brand by doing that because she kept them very separate.
So what would you recommend for your client? So if your client had the gold and whatever colors that you said before, the gold and black or whatever, and they decided to switch over to trying whatever random AI stuff, right?
Mhm.
What would you recommend for them? Because if they don't want to start over and lose a whole bunch of followers, but they still want to do this side project with these different thumbnails and these different colors and stuff, what would you recommend for them?
Well, you got options. You got the J.K. Rowling route,
Mm-hmm.
where you create a whole new identity, brand, personality, and so on. That's an option.
Okay.
If you've grown something from scratch once, why can't you do it again? A farmer who grows one tree doesn't think, oh no, this tree is my only tree. I have to commit to this tree for life. And if I want different fruit, I'm going to have to somehow splice a new fruit into this tree and mutate it or something. The farmer just thinks, I'll just plant a new tree.
Yeah, well, there's a ton of people out there that they'll build up a community or an audience on one, and they really desperately want to bring them over. And so they're trying to hold on and changing things and doing, and so that's why I asked, right?
Yeah, but Rowling didn't, is my point. So one example is you can create a new thing.
Okay.
Right. If you create the new thing, it can have totally different reputation and totally different brand direction, totally different audience and totally different one person than your original thing. And it won't hurt or tarnish the original thing if it's kept separate like that.
Right.
For the most part, unless you start tying them together in the media and stuff. But you could also do what Eminem did. Take a gamble. Put out your new thing with your new brand direction and your new values. Try and evolve and hope that your one person and your audience evolves with you. Are they likely to?
Right.
You think your audience is going to change and embrace this? Maybe. It's a gamble, though.
It is gamble, yes.
Sure.
Okay.
You could also do what Eminem did, but better. Like execute it better. Prepare your audience better. Educate them better. Plant more seeds. Take more time with it. Don't surprise them and shock them with a new album. Put in one ballad on one album and then two in the next and gently ease them into it and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Prep them with interviews about ballads and why you're going that direction. Like all this kind of stuff.
Lady Gaga kind of did that. She prepared us for her jazz album before she dropped it. So yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's not possible.
No.
I'm just saying these are things that a wise CEO considers about their brand. And if you're not considering them, you might need a brand consultant or someone to advise you. And if you do neither of those things, then you might just end up disenfranchising a huge chunk of your audience and taking a giant hit to your business.
Yeah, so that's true. That's true. And I think a lot of people, like if I was on my own, solopreneur, I would struggle with this because I wouldn't know this. This is your area of expertise. Why, again, I've called you the king of branding because you know this stuff in and out, inside and out, and you're really good at it. And so anybody who needs help with branding or clarity on their brand or direction of their brand or their one person or any of this and more should contact us, sin@jrise.me, and I will happily hook you up with Jay. I will get on a call for a few minutes. I'll feel you out, see what you need, what's going on to help you find solutions for your issues with your business and your branding. And then I'll hook you up with Jay because you have to see me first because I like meeting people. So just email me, sin@jrise.me.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so you gave us some amazing insights on branding, brand clarity, direction, one person. I have a feeling like you could talk about this for hours. And I know that because we have. We've talked about this for hours before. Mm-hmm. All right. So then I need to know, because our stuff is focused around mental health. I want to lean us a little more towards wealth and business growth, but mental health has always been a part of that for this. And our one person is not working on that, which they need to be working on. And so that's why we're helping. So how does all this branding stuff tie in to mental health? Well,
that's kind of like asking, how does your reputation tie into your mental health?
Exactly.
Well, you tell me, man. You do okay in life if your reputation is shit?
No.
How's your mental health? How's your mindset when your reputation is getting hammered?
It's awful.
Right. So how could this matter more? It's like super key to your mental health. If your company has a shit reputation, or your social circles have a shit reputation, or you have a shit reputation, you're going to feel miserable all day long. It's going to sit on you and weigh on you. It's going to affect your opportunities and your invitations, how people treat you, how people see you. Every little interaction you have is going to be viewed through this lens.
True.
This is why people are scared of controversy, because a good brand needs to use controversy well. But if you're scared of losing your reputation, or your reputation taking a hit, then you'll avoid controversy. So clearly reputation matters a lot to people's mental health. It's a big deal. The thing is, building a strong brand never means just playing safe with your reputation. Like, you can't do it.
True. That's very true. And even people without any reputation, this is what weighs on me, right? On my mind, on my brain.
Sure. But
How can I have a better one? How can I have a bigger one?
Yeah. So like, let's take you, for example, then. You have giant boobs.
Yes, I do.
Right. So if I was like doing my brand positioning exercise with you, I would put one of the traits, one of the superpowers, as boobs or femininity or something.
Right.
And then maybe I'd put the other one as connection or rapport or gossip or chatting or something like this, because you're going to beat people at these two things.
Right.
But like, do you own those strengths? Are you turning up the boobs? Are you turning up the gossiping and the chatting and the connection? How many friends have you made? How many people do you talk to a day? Like, is it clear and upfront in your branding and your mission? Does your mission say promoting J-Rise, or does it say gossiping about J-Rise in the most boobalicious ways? Like,
It does not say that, yes.
right. But if it said that, it would be clear. It would be clear what people are getting from this brand, and your superpowers would start winning, right? Starbucks can't have the best luxury experience and the highest quality beans and then not mention that in their headlines.
Fair play.
You have to turn it up. If you don't have a reputation, you need to find out who you serve and the audience you serve. And maybe your one person is thirsty guys, in which case the boobalicious brand is a great approach. But if your one person that you want to serve is school children, like a nursery, then
Right.
maybe you don't want to use that as your niche or your brand, and you want to go a different direction. Then you have to choose another strength, like mothering, nurturing.
Yeah.
Sure. So if you're great at mothering and nurturing, then you put that on your graph and you become the leader of that. But it all comes back to your one person. Like, who are you trying to serve, and how are you serving them? And then what's their priority? What niche do they care about? And what sub niche do you choose? And then what is your strengths, your superpowers that you can be the market leader in? And then what's your value proposition, your catchy hook that people can rely on? All J-Rise, all boobs, all the time. Like,
Hey, that sounds pretty awesome, actually.
sure. But then it's a clear branding. If that was in your bio, people would know. But then when I come, do I get to see a little cleavage, or do I get to see a ton of cleavage? Like, what is your brand? Taylor Swift, she'll sing about breaking up and dumping and relationships and stuff, but she doesn't really cuss that much or at all.
Right.
So she has a line. So like, her strength is relationship songs, but she draws the line at cussing.
Like teenage relationship songs.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
The point is, you said, I feel uncomfortable that I don't have a clear reputation. And I'm like, you build a clear reputation by getting clear on all these exercises, standing for something, standing for some values, putting that front and center, and then track recording it, like being consistent until you have a track record. If you want the reputation is to show up early, you've got to start showing up early and do it over and over and over until perception changes. If you show up early a few times, then late a few times, and go back and forth, and you're inconsistent, you don't get that reputation. It's really hard.
Yes.
If Eminem wants a reputation as the angry rapper, he needs to put out angry rap over and over and over with controversial stuff and homophobia and whatever the thing he was doing in the early days. And he has to own it and leverage it and put it front and center. Every time he pens a line or a lyric, he has to think, do I want to go this direction? Do I want to use this topic? Do I want to call out this particular group? Do I want to offend these people? Or do I not?
Right.
It's a conscious choice. And he knows I got to stay on brand. And then when he puts out the ballad album, he's like, I'm going to go a different direction for my brand. And I have to be willing to accept the consequences.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't have a reputation, you haven't done anything consistently enough or upfront enough or in your face enough or controversial enough to get a reputation. When I go to a party, there's going to be someone there with a reputation for like always wearing super high heels. She's going to be the heels girl, and everyone's going to know.
Right.
But there's also going to be some other wallflower who blends in with the furniture, who has no reputation at all for nothing, and they don't stand for anything. Like, she could have worn a fancy princess hat. She could have worn a tiara. She could have stood out. She could have been bubbly. She could have had a crazy laugh. She could have put her boobs in someone's face. Like, she could have done anything and had her brand. She could have even had like a burqa and covered up and been the modest girl, or she could have been the trad wife girl at the party. Like, anything. You can be anything. There's no limits. But if you have no reputation, then you've done no brand work and you're not consistent with anything, and no one can tell.
I love it. This is so helpful. this is amazing for anybody who has any questions about branding or is unsure. Even me, who understands marketing, and I've gone through this with you a million times, I still see where I can improve. So after 5 years, I'm still learning a lot. And I think a lot of people don't realize that for marketing, when you're doing any of this, any business, things change constantly and you need to be looking at your stuff all the time. And so this was really, really helpful. You are amazing. You are the branding king. There is no, like, how can anyone question? And you had so many more exercises that I was like, no, shh. And I love you. That was really great. That was really great. Okay, so how does branding have to do with our legacy, especially if like our branding evolves over time?
Yeah, great question. So Steve Jobs is gone now,
right?
But because of how clear he was in his brand, he will forever be known as a super successful, super innovative tech pioneer.
True.
His legacy is solid and secure and established, and it ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Taylor Swift, because she was so clear and consistent with her brand, will forever be known as the world-dominating, super popular, universally known relationship song girl, love song girl,
right?
Personal diary girl, whatever.
Yeah, or journaling girl. Yeah.
She's going to be written about the same way by everybody forever for years to come.
Right.
And both of them did very controversial things, but always aligned with their brand.
Oh.
They're examples of people who stood for something, stood for their values, got clear on their brand, and made sure that was front and center in all offerings to the public.
Okay.
So they have a giant legacy. Now, Joe's Plumbing down the street or the mom and pop restaurant in your neighborhood, they did not do these things.
No.
So what legacy are they going to have?
They're just going to have the legacy of being the mom and pop store, and people will forget about them.
Yeah, once their family line is gone or passed on, or they've dispersed all over the world, like they'll be forgotten, right?
Right. No one will remember who they are. Yeah.
Sure. So who gets remembered? Jesus is remembered for love, for standing for love, for being a beacon of love, for loving everyone and teaching everyone to love and preaching love and showing love. And like I've role modeled him since I was a kid in my own personal ways. And whenever I do something, I aim to make the most loving choice. Why? Because he stood for love, and that's what I've studied and practiced and learned from. Like his legacy is clear and obvious to everyone. And even his haters who want to write whatever about him, he's fake, he's not real, whatever, can't argue with the fact that the man spread love throughout his whole tenure. Right? Like,
right.
So he had a clear brand that stood for something, and he made sure it was front and center at all times, didn't hide it. He did lots of controversial things, but that love was always in your face, in people's faces. And he didn't play small. He reached tons of fans and audience. He served his one person. And here we are centuries later. And does he have a legacy?
Yeah, it's an incredible legacy.
Right. But your local pastor, does he have a legacy?
No.
Not really, right? Kind of, maybe, depends on your definition of legacy. But hopefully you get the point. There's a clear connection between brand clarity and consistency and your personal legacy.
Well, I see it now, and it makes more sense. Thank you so much for explaining and for answering all my questions. Thank you for helping us navigate through the little rough ones. And so it's interesting because for me, as a marketer, people assume that like I'm super clear on all of stuff, but my side of marketing is different. What I do is connection and outreach and these things. The reason why is because I have this incredible partner that if I want things to look pretty, I just have to say the colors and he does it for me. If I was a solopreneur now, this is a whole nother thing. Being by myself, I would need to know all this, how to do all this stuff, not just know what it is, but how to do those things. And again, if you want help, Jay's the man.
Thank you. Even with your eBay store, I walked through these exercises with you. I was like, who are you serving? And what are they coming to you for? And what niche and what colors and what logo and all these things? Like, how are you going to show the value of your brand?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That was really helpful, actually.
Of course.
Because, and I'll give you a side thing that I didn't know it was going to be helpful for. I knew it'd be helpful for the customer, for the client experience, for them knowing what my shop was about. But what I didn't expect was that it would make my job as a thrifter easier.
Yeah, because now you're clear on who you're serving and what products you're carrying and your niche and what's going to serve them. And so you just filter out all the crap and you like zero in on exactly what to get at the thrift store.
Exactly.
But I always say strong brand clarity makes 90% of business decisions effortless. Like you're never confused again. And it's always easy to know what to do. You know what opportunities to say yes to, what products to make, what to gamble on, where to risk, what to write, what kind of content, what messaging, what colors to use, everything. Because you're so clear on all of the brand foundations that it would be laughable to not know. If you're so clear on your cake and the ingredients and the cooking process and the recipe, everything else is easy.
Word. Totally 100% facts right there. Yeah. And in the beginning, when I first was still unsure, we hadn't walked through these exercises. I remember standing at the store being like, I don't know what to freaking buy. And so I have a couple of things that I purchased that there's like four of them that at the time I had no clarity, and they're not selling because I had no clarity. But the minute I knew what I wanted, I targeted that in the store, purchased that. And those items, those particular items that fit my niche that I knew immediately have already sold.
Yep. And you can even convert those 4 that you've got into something that suits your niche by brand clarity. Like if you have some Ninja Turtle and you're like, oh my God, Ninja Turtles are not going to sell. I don't know what I was thinking. It does not fit my one person at all. That's fine. But then if you dip the Ninja Turtle in bronze and frame it and put some luxury things and some branches and twigs around, and then you call it Nature's Turtles, or maybe you like pair it up with the candy, you know, the Turtles candy, and it's like a Turtles package, and now it's super kitschy and it's super niche and it's super fun, and it's not some ugly green toy, and it's bronzed or gold or whatever. Okay, now maybe it sells. And all because you had brand clarity.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny you say that because I have a little statue of Jesus and Mary, and I want to put Google eyes on them. But that's a whole other story. Thank you so much for your time, for your clarity, for your help with all of this. This is incredible. And I've kind of shouted you out a few times for people who are looking for more clarity and more help with this for their personal solutions to their situation. Because you really are amazing at this. This is not just like you're amazing at everything. Like I could say that about every freaking topic, and it's true. And if it's a topic you don't know, oh well, he's really good at learning topic. He can teach you how to learn fast. So yeah, I'm super blessed. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
So I have one final question. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our amazing and wonderful audience?
Yes, your brand is like a lighthouse in the fog of the market. So do whatever it takes to turn up your brand, make it clearer, make it brighter, make it taller, make it higher, make it stand out above the noise so people can see it and find it. And you will get crazy sales, crazy referrals, giant growth, every metric rising, and you'll create a giant legacy, all while having peace of mind and good mental health about your business and life. Be the best brand you can be.
Yay. And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you will know all about branding and what it is and why you need it and how to handle it. So now go watch this video here. And I don't know the actual name, but it's something about business, mental health, and a recipe. What do they have in common to help you understand business and branding even better and to help you keep your eyes wide open?
Keep rising.